Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. More agencies are reporting being hacked. SolarWinds' massive customer base is now under attack. This has been highly looked at lately because of Dominion Voting System's connection to SolarWinds. Despite SolarWind taking down its customer list, an archived record confirms its wide range of customers. The page boasts how SolarWind serves more than 300,000 customers worldwide, including military, Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and education institutions. SolarWind's customers also includes the Office of the President of the United States, and Dominion Voting Systems was also on the customer list. On Tuesday, Dominion CEO told lawmakers the company has never used the SolarWinds Orion products. But the Epoch Times got a screenshot of a Dominion webpage showing it does use SolarWinds technology. Dominion later removed the reference to SolarWinds, but it's still in the page's source code. The Department of Energy says it was hacked by malware after a SolarWinds update. A spokesperson says the malware did not impact the national security functions of the department, including the National Nuclear Security Administration, or NNSA. The NNSA is an agency within the Energy Department. It oversees the country's nuclear weapons stockpile. The spokesperson says they immediately disconnected all vulnerable software from the network. SolarWinds was compromised through its network management tool called Orion. Malicious code was inserted into Orion software updates. On Thursday, the U.S. Cybersecurity Agency said the hacking campaign is larger than previously known, and alleged foreign actors gained backdoor access in more ways than just SolarWinds software, starting as early as March 2020. CISA previously issued an emergency directive on December 13th, ordering all federal agencies to immediately disconnect SolarWinds Orion products and check their networks for signs of compromise. The FBI is now investigating the SolarWinds hack. And a new report by Reuters found hackers were able to access the systems of a U.S. internet provider and a county government in Arizona. The invasion happened in Pima County, Arizona. According to the report, hackers got into Cox Communications networks and the local government there. The chief information officer for Pima County told Reuters his team followed U.S. government advice and took all SolarWinds software offline. He added investigators had found no evidence of a further hacking. The article cites suspected Russian hackers. But the question is, why would foreign governments such as Russia be interested in accessing the county level? This comes as Phil Klein, the former Kansas Attorney General, said at the Amistad hearing earlier this week, "We are being hacked from within." Speaking of foreign interference, the Director of National Intelligence said on December 3rd that China, Iran, and Russia interfered in the general election. That's according to a CBS correspondent. This as the DNI puts off publishing its expected report on foreign threats in the election. This comes after the office of the DNI announced that the report on foreign threats in the election won't meet the December 18th deadline, set by President Trump's executive order. December 18th marks 45 days after the November 3rd election, when, according to Trump's executive order from 2018, the DNI would deliver a report on any potential attempts at interference, as well as the methods used and who was involved, and authorized those efforts. Many of Trump's supporters are anticipating this executive order could be triggered any day now. What's also noteworthy is an announcement saying President Trump and Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller would have a meeting in the Oval Office at 3:30 p.m. on Friday. Some have mentioned that President Trump could trigger the Insurrection Act, which would allow the president to use the military and National Guard troops within the U.S. The original text reads, quote, "An act authorizing the employment of the land and naval forces of the United States in cases of insurrections, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that in all cases of insurrection or obstruction to the laws, either of the United States or of any individual state or territory, where it is lawful for the President of the United States to call forth the militia for the purpose of suppressing such insurrection or of causing the laws to be duly executed. It shall be lawful for him to employ for the same purposes such part of the land or naval force of the United States as shall be judged necessary, having first observed all the prerequisites of the law in that respect." According to a 2006 report by the Congressional Research Service, the president must first issue a proclamation ordering the insurgents to disperse within a limited time if the situation does not resolve itself. The president may issue an executive order to send in troops before invoking the act. But what do you think? Will or should President Trump invoke the Insurrection Act? And on the note of President Trump, he said in a tweet on the 17th, quote, "I have nothing to do with the potential prosecution of Hunter Biden or the Biden family. It is just more fake news. Actually, I find it very sad to watch." The short 3 sentences contain 2 main points. One is that the Hunter Biden or the Biden family might be prosecuted. The other is that Trump himself was not and will not be involved in the matter. This seems to confirm then that Attorney General William Barr's exit could mean he really was investigating Hunter Biden or the rest of the Biden family. The other point is there were previous rumors that Trump would likely appoint a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden and election. This tweet then seems to say Trump may not want the special counsel to investigate Hunter after all. It seems the Hunter Biden scandal has made many Americans realize the entire Biden family's relationships with the Chinese Communist Party, which raises concern for Americans. This then seems to suggest the special counsel, if appointed, would focus on this election. And on the note of the election, there's been the phrase dueling electors floating around. But what does it mean? On December 14th, a slate of Democratic electors chose Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. Republican electors also cast votes for President Trump, even though Biden was confirmed as the winner in the states. This sets up the dueling electors, or 2 sets of results. What happens is Congress gets 2 sets when they convene on January 6th to count the electoral votes. While this is rare, it has happened before in history. The last time was in 1960, when the governor of Hawaii certified electors for Republican Nixon and Democratic electors cast their votes for the Democrat JFK. This led to a recount which determined Kennedy had actually won. The joint session declared Kennedy the winner in 1961. A professor of law at the Chapman University School of Law told NTD there are lawsuits challenging the results of the election that are still pending. Depending on how successful these lawsuits are, the Trump electors' votes could be certified and properly counted on January 6th. But there would need to be enough damning evidence for Congress to be convinced and to certify these alternate sets of votes. The director of the McConnell Center at the University of Louisville, Gary Gregg II, told the Epoch Times, anything short of actual evidence of fraud wouldn't be enough to convince Congress, and the joint sessions would certify the Biden votes on the 6th. According to the Congressional Research Service, when dueling slates are received, members of Congress in the joint session consider the list when it's from a different state authority than the certified list and conduct a vote. Acceptance of either slate would then require a concurrent agreement in both the House and the Senate. If there isn't a conflict in terms of state authority, the one determined to be appointed pursuant to the state's election laws is counted. If there is no determination by a state authority of which slate was lawfully appointed, the 2 chambers agree concurrently to accept the votes of one set or decide not to accept either set. If the 2 chambers don't agree, the electors certified by the governor shall be counted. So let's talk about the joint session in Congress on January 6th. There's a law called the Electoral Count Act, or ECA. According to the law, after the electoral votes are cast, they have to be accepted by the new Congress sworn in on January 3rd. Under the presiding authority of the current Vice President, Pence, the House and Senate will meet together on January 6th. And if any state's ballots are challenged by one member of the House and Senate, the chambers must meet separately and vote on the challenge. The ECA limits each challenge to no more than 2 hours of debate. If either of the chambers does not agree with the objection or challenge, it would fail. The electoral votes approved by the governor would count. However, as discussed in the article, if the discussion or debates never end, it would be a very different scenario. For example, if the electoral votes are challenged individually instead of collectively in each state, which is allowed by the ECA, then 2 hours for each vote would make this challenging process endless. If it drags to January 18th, the day a decision has to be made, then according to the Constitution, without an electoral college winner, the Senate chooses the vice president and the House picks the president. The Senate would most likely pick Pence because Republicans still hold a majority in the Senate for now. In the House of Representatives, when picking a president, the House votes by state delegation, and the Republicans control more House delegations. The House Democrats, as the slight majority, will never let that vote happen, which means no president would be elected. If no president is elected by noon on January 20th, the law of presidential succession comes into play. Republicans will claim that the president should be succeeded by the elected vice president, Mike Pence, while the Democrats will say the whole process was illegal and unconstitutional, and that the next in line is therefore the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. That means in this case, Biden would not be president. There are still a lot of unknowns looking ahead. These are just some scenarios, but what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Tiffany Meier, and see you soon.